Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're taking a look at a Protoss vs Zerg. This is Tyson in the bottom right. A pretty strong Protoss player, but not like a regular in SSL. But he is in there occasionally. And in the top left, actually a Zerg player that I am a bit of a fan of. I really like this guy. I like his style. This is True, or BTS, Bang Tae Soo. Yeah, they're kind of asking each other who they are and stuff. But yeah, this is, True was a very strong StarCraft 2 Zerg. He is a very strong StarCraft 1 Zerg as well. Has kind of a Ling-heavy style. Kind of an aggressive Zerg overall, I would say. Very, very unit-focused. He was very fun to watch in StarCraft 2. So I do like to try to catch up with him from time to time on StarCraft 1. I think there's certainly a potential for him to become like an SSL level player. He was like a GSL player, during some of the peaks of StarCraft 2 and did well internationally and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, just a nice little PVZ here, and we'll see how this ends up going. It is going to be an overpool from True. And, Tyson just going to go up and scout that. It looks like he was going for a Nexus first. And I believe the timing of this is you can go like 12 Nexus Forge, if I'm not mistaken, and just barely have those cannons up in time, but we'll see in a moment. These guys have it mapped out just so well down to the second. And there's that Nexus. Yeah, and he'll go Forge and be able to just block that. So that's going to be a very good opener there. For Tyson. He is going to have a little bit of an advantage going forward, but you're not going to, if you lose the probe, you're not going to be able to scout what's going on. That's one of the things I think that can be scary here. Now, having the Nexus first, of course, optimizes you towards things like your tech more quickly, but because you, for instance, don't have a gateway early on, it's a little bit harder sometimes to scout. Sometimes you keep the probe alive and do a great job there. And you can kind of scout what's going on and see, okay, is there a Hydralisk bus on the way? I can't believe how much they're talking. Guys, just play the game. But yeah, that's going to be one of the things I think can be scary, especially against a player like True, who I think is very likely to do some of these more cheesy, aggressive rushes. It kind of fits into his style really well. Now, cannon is coming up. That's kind of an interesting cannon placement. I haven't seen this on Minstrel yet. This is kind of like a tight, pretty far back wall. I'm actually not sure how I feel about that. It looks like this is tight, which is important. This is always tight. So we have like the one hole here, and then we have this double hole up here, but this is almost a triple hole. It's so big. I wonder if he's going to try to clog this a little bit more. Maybe a pylon there or something like that, and that can help you to get cannons here if you need to. Not entirely sure. I'm definitely not an expert on Protoss wall-ins. Well, in PvT I am. You make a row of pylons. There you go. Done and done. Now, Zealot on the way. He has this pylon going up in the main base with the Cybernex core at the natural, so this will probably be Stargate coming up very quickly. Very rare to see anything else. And now the probe has died. So now starts the Dark Ages here for our Protoss player. He's going to try to send out a second probe. And of course, the Overlord sees that. So will True be able to intercept this probe and prevent it from scouting what's going on? Now, we can take a look and see, okay, Zergling Speed is on the way, as well as Lair. It looks likely that this could be a Mutalisk play. Of course, Tyson doesn't know that right now. He's just trying to get over and see, like, okay, can we find an additional base? And he is going to be able to find that third hatchery up here finished. Stargate is on the way. Still just on one cannon. So far, this is looking pretty good for Tyson. The fact that he's only had to make one cannon, it seems like he's read everything correctly. There's no sort of aggression coming or anything. And he actually is going to send 2 Zealots out. So as he comes up here, it's still just the 4 initial Lings is the only thing he sees with this probe. So there is some potential for these Zealots to just kind of walk across the map and get something done. Looks like a bad attack move there. You got to kind of send them here and then send them over. It looks like he kind of just attack moved in this general area and they got stuck there. And he actually turns around anyways, so not a big deal. Sometimes it is correct to just turn things around. Now, Spire on the way. +1 coming. Second photon cannon. It's got this all completely tight, so that looks good. And Citadel coming up pretty quickly. There's the second gas. And legs get started right away. So Tyson going to want to get some zealots out there for a bit of pressure. Sometimes you see that quick Citadel and it turns into a DT rush, which actually we've done some fast DT games here on Minstrel. I feel like it's a pretty good map for fast DT. But a lot of the things that make it a good map for fast DT, like you could use speed zealots in a similar way, kind of tactically moving them around. There's a lot of different paths, a lot of different ways you can pop out. Now, this I find kind of interesting as well. Sometimes the Protoss player will fly directly across to try to get a good feel on what's going on as far as tech goes, but he just decides to commit to killing that Overlord, and we'll be able to get that Scourge already on the way here for True, who is getting a very fast carapace. Let's compare that speed. He's actually got +1 flyer carapace before we have +1 Corsair attack. So he's going to lose this Corsair. This is not good. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to juke his way out of this. Oh, wow. Look at this. He actually pulls the Scourge way away. He's going to try to just intercept. Oh, he messed up there. That was a mess up. Like when they stopped here. Wow. Okay. That's what's happening, actually. Some Zealots walked out, and that actually allowed him to kind of move the Corsair away. And he's kind of going on a line right now to try to catch a Corsair coming back, but the Corsair just paused. This is part of the amazingness that is PvZ, is like some of the mind games you can do with a Corsair compared to Scourge trying to catch them. Now, here come these Speed Zealots. Going to be able to get in here on top of this Sunken. Very good drone drill. Really excellent. But the thing is, there's just nothing here, and these are +1 Zealots. There's like 4 Zerglings total. He pops some mutas, but as long as he actually just gets damage out of the Zealots, like that felt very good for 4 speed Zealots. Lost mining time, kills all the lings, kills at least 1 drone, sees the mutalisks. You know, that's pretty reasonable, and in fact, even runs up into the main base with another Zealot. That's very, very nice. So looking at everything, like we have a lot of hatcheries right now. And that is definitely going to allow him to get into those Hydras. You can see he's already getting that +1 Hydralisk attack. Going to utilize the mutas right now kind of for controlling the game. He is going to have that +1 carapace, and that's going to give him a little window that he's going to be very strong during. Hydralisk Den coming up at that third base. More gates coming in. And of course, more Corsairs being made. That +1 not done yet. And there is the Archon on the way. I like this game right now for True, actually. Like that Zealot move from Tyson was very good. But the fact that he's making the Archon, it's like, okay, well, I mean, if it is Mutaling, you do want the Archon, and I do like the Archon in a way. But I feel like he's so ready to switch into Hydras. The switch is going to be brutal. There are going to be so many Hydras coming. He's already on the 6 hatch. He has a lot of drones. Look at this, 45 drones already. +1 ranged attack already going to be finishing up as well. His Hydralisk production is going to explode, and you need to get some Psystorm out ASAP here as Tyson. The mutas were kind of like, he got the carapace, and yeah, he has 6 mutas, and yeah, he has a ton of Scourge. But it doesn't even feel like the main part of this plan. Well, it's like a stalling part of the plan. He's kind of forcing Tyson into this weird position where it's like, yeah, you have an Archon, you're making all this anti-air, but really this looks like it's going to be one of these pushes that tries to get you before you have sufficient Psystorms. I think. Because we don't see like a 4th base coming up here from True. Now here's the 3rd base from Tyson. This is... I wonder, because he's doing this off of 6 gates. So his production isn't going to be that high, and it really feels like True is putting everything into production. Ooh! Kind of a big engage there. Gets quite a few Corsairs, forces them back. You know, he does have 3 High Templars. He almost has that Psystorm ready. Range for the Hydras coming up. killing off even more Corsairs, so just being so annoying. It's going to be really hard to actually get those High Templars out to do anything. Going to jump on top of some of these photon cannons as well, kind of zoning out any more possible Corsairs that could come in. Wow, the mutas... I just feel like, at least in this game, True is way outplaying Tyson. The fact that, again, I don't feel like this is the main part of the plan. This is like a stalling part of the plan to kind of screw things up to get into this huge Hydralisk switch. Look how many Hydras he has already. Look at his supply, 102 to 113 right now. That's rough for Protoss. And he's killed off a lot of Corsairs. He's forced more Corsairs out. Let's see. He is going to have a good amount of Psystorm. Has a DT walk up, unfortunately for him. Already Overlord speed is there. Diving on top of some of these High Templar. Corsairs now trying to do their job. More Hydras coming up. The cannon's not quite ready yet. Sniping some of those High Templar. And I mean, there are a lot of Zealots, but this is like there's no long-term potential here from what we see out of Tyson. He's trying to fight against those Hydras, but the timing is like basically perfect. Yeah, I think what happened here, as GG is called, I think that Tyson didn't read this correctly. Because, okay, his 4 Zealot move out that we saw was really good. When was that? Just a little bit after this. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So here's that 4 Zealot move out, right? He has +1 and he has legs finish up. So this was a really, really good move. Already you can see that True is very drone heavy. And I think that this has to do with the build order that he chose here. And look at how fast he got the +1 attack. Like, when you see someone that's getting +1 flyer carapace this quickly, it's easy to look at this and say, okay, yeah, this is going to be a Mutalist space strategy. But when you see this is showing us what the strategy actually is. The mutas are going to slow everything. If you can get your opponent to spend heavily on Corsairs and even make Archons, the follow-up Hydralisk attack is going to be very, very strong. And I feel like, even though this was a good move, this felt pretty good to me. Like, lost some mining time, saw the mutas, killed a drone, killed all the lings. I mean, it was still defended well as well, don't get me wrong, but I think that was a good move. And then you had this Zealot go up into the main base. And yeah, even this gets a kill on a drone right there, as you can see. This wasn't read correctly. Because Tyson goes 6 gates, 3rd base, he has an Archon, he has all these Corsairs and everything, when his opponent is actually basically doing a 3 base all in. If True was like, I feel like if this was a bit later, this would have been a Mutalist game, but I think that this was literally exactly the plan the entire time. And if he had just taken a 4th base, we could have just had like a standard macro game, and then that 3rd base very quickly out of Tyson would have been really strong. But in this type of situation where your opponent is just like, no, we're going 6 hatch and we're gonna try to bust you. Trying to take this 3rd base. I'm shrugging in real life here. I'm like, yeah. I think he needed to read it a bit better. And the thing is, I'm not an expert PvZ player. Reading something like this could be very, very difficult, I think. But yeah, what a good plan from True. I kind of enjoyed that game. It felt like a very good setup overall. So anyways, let me know what you think about that strat from True and if you liked it. Thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any ideas on how he could have maybe read that this was actually just a setup for Hydras. And the thing is, you might look at it and say, oh, mutas are always a setup for Hydras. That's kind of like... It's kind of true, but not exactly. If a lot of the muta games that you see, it'll be something like you fly in, like Ogre Zerg Gamer, right? You'll fly in and you have a cloud of Scourge and like you try to take out the cannon. That was never his plan. His plan was like, counter these pretty, make sure you're trying to counter these. I have a lot of Scourge, and then I'll try to pick off High Templars and hit you with the Hydras. It's not at all about the Mutalist damage. The Mutalists are a distraction. Anyways, yeah. Let me know what you think about that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.